All right. Welcome. How we doing, friends? Yay! Some of you all are new friends. Some of you are old friends to us, which is great. I'm glad you get to mingle and be here. My name is Dr. Jeff Musgrave. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I am one of the co-founders of StrongerLife. This wild guy in the back who you met if you did the tour had this crazy idea that older adults needed more than what they were getting. If you're 55 and up, this sit and get fit stuff is not getting it done. We're seeing older adults not treated with respect, not challenged in a way that they're actually going to make meaningful change in their life. And we said, we've had enough. We've spent a lot of time in the medical system seeing older adults treated like children. And we were not okay with it. So really grateful for this really special community and that you've spent a little bit of your time today to learn how you can improve your health, because that's what we were all about here. So welcome. Whether it's your first time or your 500th time, some of you probably saw the 500 Club back there. We've got some people that have suffered 500 visits with us. We like to think it's a lot of fun, especially to watch them crush it and crush their goals. But without further ado, let's get started so we can figure out how we're going to say goodbye to osteoporosis. So what we're going to be covering tonight is, what is osteoporosis? What's osteopenia? And then most importantly, what can you do about it? If anyone is feeling brave, raise your hand if you do have any form of osteoporosis or osteopenia. Yeah, a lot of people. Really exciting is we've seen people actually improve their bone density, which we were taught in the medical system over 15 years ago, you can't do that. You can't improve your bone density. We were told after 30 years old, it's only withdrawals from the bone bank. And then research has come along. Forward-thinking clinicians have come along, researchers have come along and done something different with older adults, and guess what? They got different results. They got something different, got something better. So really excited to share this with you because we've got to see many of our members actually improve their bone density over time. So if you thought there was nothing you can do, yeah, one's right here. One's right here. They're here with you if you have questions. So we should talk a little bit more about what low bone mineral density is. People throw these terms around, osteopenia, osteoporosis. And I don't know about you, but those 8 to 10 syllable words don't mean a whole lot unless you got a degree in this stuff. And even if you do, sometimes it's confusing. I feel like we have to have some type of medical translator to figure out what in the world the doctor's trying to tell us. You get 45 seconds with them, so you better make it quick. So bone mineral density is usually starts the screening process for women around 65 years old, for men about 75 years old. Just because you're male doesn't mean that you can't end up with low bone mineral density. The primary way this is tested, the gold standard, is to do a DEXA scan. So that is a dual energy X-ray absorption test is what DEXA stands for. And what they're doing is they're beaming those little radio waves into your bones and seeing how much reflect back to figure out how dense the bone is. Because the reality is you don't have the same bone mineral density across all of your bones, across different joints. So just because you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, you need more information like where is it? It could just be in your wrist. It could be only in your hip, only in your back. And depending on that may change what type of training you need. So it's really interesting that a lot of people, they're told you've got this diagnosis, but not really what it means or what you can do about it. So we're trying to figure out normal bone density versus osteopenia or osteoporosis. I don't want to give too many like math class flashbacks, but are you all familiar with the bell curve? Yeah. So in the center, you've got normal, and then you've got standard deviations that come out. So when you're looking at a DEXA scan, you're looking at how many standard deviations away from normal are you. And that determines which diagnosis you're labeled with. So when we're looking at normal, hey, do y'all hear the music? I finally got it to work. That's so great. I was really stressed y'all didn't have music. And lo and behold, now it has begun. All right, well that was going to drive me nuts. Thanks for your grace there. I promise we'll get back to it. So normal would be right in the middle. 1.5 standard deviations, 1 to 2.5 standard deviations away would put you in the osteopenia category. If you're over 2.5 standard deviations from normal on that bell curve, when they do your DEXA scan, you have osteoporosis. And the scale actually goes beyond that. We've seen people come in with a -4, for example. But over a year, changed it to -3, which is really impressive, especially for a condition that a lot of us were told you can't do anything about. So that's exciting news. If we're going to nerd out just a little bit more, I can't help it. We got to nerd out a little bit. There's a couple different types of bone that we have. This is our trabecular bone, and it's like the network. It's looks kind of like a spider web. This is like the structural component of the bone that helps it accept load. You can see in normal bone how thick this is and how well connected it is, kind of like a beehive. And then you look over here, it's become thinner and there are less connecting points, which means structurally, it's just not as strong. It doesn't handle and accept load as well as it could or did before. So that's kind of the basics of how the architecture of the bone changes over time. So why is this a big deal? Why do we care? And I probably don't even need to tell you about this slide, but we'll pretend I've got something special for you here. But we know that if we have increased risk of our bones fracturing, if something happens, there's going to be a negative consequence, like a fracture. The reality is you can modulate how much bone density you have. So it's really how much reserve do you have? Our bones are designed to accept body weight plus, right? Because if you jump or you go down a step or you carry your groceries, you're doing body weight plus activities. So the question is, how much extra do you have? And we like to reference that like reserve. I don't want to be just barely strong enough to do everything, because heaven forbid you trip, you have a fall. You may or may not have the reserve bone density to prevent a fracture. But the stronger you are, the more reserve you build, the less likely you are to have some type of adverse event like a fracture from a fall. I know, really mind-blowing stuff there, right? I promise we'll get to the interesting stuff. So that's what osteoporosis and osteopenia is. Are there any questions on this section before we move into the what you can do about it piece?
What's the difference between those two?
So the difference between those two is how many standard deviations you are for normal. So if you're thinking about that bell curve, at 0 to 1, you're fine. At 1 to 2.5, you've got osteopenia. Anything over 2.5 is osteoporosis. So it's a sliding scale. As the bone density goes down, it's a greater negative number. It's less than normal by X number of standard deviations. So 1 to 2.5 is osteopenia. Over 2.5 is osteoporosis.
Have you ever seen where they measure anything besides the hips and the spine?
Yes. Wrist.
The wrist.
Yep. Do we have another question? No. Okay. Thank you. It was a good question. All right. So what you can do about it? Man, these probably aren't sexy or surprising answers, are they? Oh boy, here we go. Diet and exercise, and then do it a lot. But we have more information than that, right? If that was all the information you needed, you wouldn't have shown up tonight. You already knew that before you walked in. Okay, so let's talk about specifics here. So we're going to break down these three pieces. Exercise. Your exercise at some point needs to be heavy. You need to lift heavy weights. When I say heavy, heavy is relative to you. If you're used to lifting 2-pound weights, 3 pounds is heavy, right? 1.5 pounds is heavy. That person that I referenced earlier from our membership that had a -4, she was lifting less than 1 pound overhead. But now she can lift 10 pounds overhead. During that time frame of a year, think about the percent change of that overhead strength. And she also changed her bone density an entire standard deviation. She went from osteoporosis to osteopenia, which is huge. And when I say heavy, you're thinking, oh, hundreds of pounds. Like less than 1 pound to 10. A gallon of milk is 8. A lot of you interact with more weight than that during a normal day or getting your groceries, if you're still doing that. The other piece with exercise is it needs to be fast. It's good for the bones to get quick loading. That's something that's absent in a lot of programs. They don't ask you to move quickly. It doesn't give the same stress to the bones. You don't get the same results to the bones because the bones are living, breathing tissue. Before I went to school, I thought of bones like rocks, like they're dead. They just lay around. That's not the reality. They need blood flow, they need nutrients, and they respond to stress. How much stress or how much load you put on them. So it's truly the use it or lose it principle with your bones. You add stress to them progressively, slowly. You add good nutrition, you add rest, and then you get stronger bones over time. The other piece on exercise is it needs to be loud. Our members know what that's all about. We like to stomp. We like to stomp around. Not because we're angry, not because we're having a tantrum, but because it gives that bone the load it needs to change. Those concussive forces, those ground reaction forces, are what the bone needs to get stronger. And a lot of people are really nervous about this because they're like, well, if I have osteopenia, osteoporosis, I probably have some arthritis too. And if you do it slowly and you do it progressively, you will not change your arthritis from that. That's not really how the progression works. And even the studies that came out on running, and I'm not suggesting you all go out and run, okay? There are much better strategies we're going to cover in just a minute. It doesn't even have the best ground reaction forces to improve your bone density anyway. So that's the first reason I wouldn't recommend it. But two, they also found that there's no correlation between running miles and increased arthritis. Kind of wild, kind of wild. Now, if you get lots of injuries while you run, that's different. If you're stacking up injuries, overuse injuries, you can expedite your arthritis. Nutrition. We're going to cover this more in depth, but minimal calories. So many people that we come in that have problems with their bone density are not getting proper nutrition. They need to eat more than they realize to maintain their bones. The reality is, it's kind of like trying to build a house without having enough bricks. You do all the work, you got the laborer in there, you're doing the exercise, but you don't have the protein, you don't have the proper nutrition, you can't build a house. It doesn't matter how many workers show up at the work site. If there's no bricks, there's no house. So we got to have bricks. And then the last piece is consistency. Bone mineral density can change. It is not a game of weeks. Sometimes it's not even a game of months. We have seen people change their bone density in less than a year, but most of the time it's a game of years. It's a game of consistency. I'm not here to sell you snake oil and tell you 2 weeks after doing training, your bone mineral density is going to get better. It's not quite that easy, but there is hope. There's a lot you can do. So this is a high quality study that looked at what happens to women, postmenopausal women who have osteopenia and osteoporosis when they do what we've just recommended. Heavy lifting, relatively heavy lifting, dialed into you specifically like we do in class here, but it included lifting heavy things off the ground, pressing weight overhead, standing up and sitting down with heavy weights, and also jumping. It's kind of wild. These people are over 65 years old with osteoporosis, osteopenia, and if you were like me a few years ago, I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. Sounds like a great way to get hurt. I don't think we should do that because of the arthritis, the osteoporosis. Sounds kind of scary. But what they did is they took people through this program for 8 months, 2 times a week, and they compared it to a group doing what we see as normal exercise, like doing some lunges, doing some toe raises. They were doing some walking. They were up on their feet doing weight-bearing exercises. So those are the 2 groups we're comparing. All of them had osteoporosis and osteopenia. All of them were exercising. Weight-bearing without extra load, weight-bearing plus load, and a little bit of jumping. And I guess we'll just see it again. There we go. So these are the results from the study. Now I know it's a little bit hard to see. We've got a group that was still exercising the entire time, and up here we've got their bone mineral density change. Percent change in 8 months. Now we've already outlined, most of the medical community is going to tell you that these things can't change. But in 8 months, 2 times a week, we saw bone mineral density in the group that was doing the weight training and that limited jumping. Their bone mineral density got better, which is exciting. The group that was exercising but not lifting weights, not doing any jump training, theirs got worse. during the same amount of time, same 8 months, completely randomized group of people, some got better, some got worse. Exercise is not all created equally. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a program here. You can get exercise anywhere, right? You need the right exercise for the right things. Do you want to guess how many injuries they had? No serious injuries from either group. They didn't get hurt. They got better bones. They didn't get hurt. This outlines some of the strategies that we use in here, but this is a research study looking at the ground reaction forces. Like we talked about stomping, adding acceleration, loading the bones in different ways. A lot of us, people are like, oh, running's great. 2.5 times your relative body weight. That's normalized by your weight. 2.5 times the force of you just standing still, which is pretty good. But then you look at things like a heel drop. This is a heel drop. That's it. 3.6 times the ground reaction forces. That much more force, and you don't even have to lace up your running shoes. Unless you love running, that's good news. Because you can make your bone mineral density better with a simpler exercise, less likely to get injured, or it's just not something you're interested in doing, but you can make your bones stronger. This is really good news. So we leverage this type of information to give you options to improve your bone mineral density without increasing your risk of injury. Now, if you're a man in the room, I got you covered. I know you're worried. We're just going to talk about the ladies tonight, huh? This is a Lift More M trial. So this trial didn't look just at a group doing the same type of barbell lifting or weight training. It also looked at a group that was using machines, because people come to us all the time. Why don't you have any machines in here? I like to go to the place with the machines. Well, interestingly enough, they compared these two groups. The ones that were doing the exercises, like the experimental group, the ladies were doing the lifting up the weights and sit to stand with the weights. The high intensity resistance training group improved their bone mineral density, function, and reduced their fracture risk more than the control group that did nothing and the group that did machines. Do you want to guess who had the most injuries out of those three groups? The machine group. You can grab those handles and do whatever you want. There is no quality control on a machine. You can stack up as much as you want. Nothing's going to stop you. I've had that experience. I did that as a college student. Got wrecked on some machines. When we typically think, oh, machines are safe. They're controlled. It's locked in. Not so much. And these were people getting one-on-one supervision from researchers and exercise professionals. They had the most injuries. Best results, least injuries. Questions on exercise before we talk about food. I love talking about food. I've eaten a whole lot of food today. But we'll talk about it some more. And if you got questions at the end, you can ask too. So protein. If there was one thing you could walk away from the nutrition piece, protein, protein, protein. The reality is the protein is a building block. Like we're talking about those bricks. If you don't have enough total calories, your body will break itself down. It will find nutrients wherever it can, whether it comes from your muscles, it comes from your bones. If you don't eat enough, you're asking your body to break down and become weaker. You have to eat enough total calories based on your weight and your activity level. Otherwise, you're just going to be breaking yourself down as you exercise. You won't be able to recover. You'll be likely to get injured. You can do all the great osteoporosis focused exercise, but if you don't have enough protein, it will not benefit you. All the workers showed up for work. There's no bricks. There's no house. These other things are helpful too, but not nearly as helpful as getting enough protein. You can sit around and do your calcium, your vitamin D, your vitamin C. Those are all beneficial for bone growth. They are. But if you skip the protein, don't expect results. Just going to tell you right now. You're skipping out on the bricks for your brick house. You may have lots of mortar and siding, but when the storm comes in or a fall, good luck. Good luck. You didn't build it on protein. So calcium's helpful too. Dairy products, healthier fats like Greek yogurt, those things are more complete proteins. Those are beneficial. We can get our calcium from our milk products, our cheese, especially our like less processed cheese, the better. You know, the stuff that like comes in squares isn't usually great. It's not a whole lot of cheese. It's like a cheese product. But like raw cheese, cultured cheeses, those are good. Those are higher quality. And you're going to get better calcium from those. Vitamin D. I know we've got nutrients out here, but what's another way we get vitamin D? The sun, yes. It's been some beautiful days. I hope you've been able to enjoy some sunshine. You can also get vitamin D from your diet. Your broccoli, your leafy greens, those are great for getting vitamin D. Figs, salmon. Salmon's a great lean source of protein, has lots of great fats in it. Man, another good option for you. Vitamin C, we probably know this one in our sleep, right? Our citrus fruits have a lot of vitamin C. Our bananas, peppers, tomatoes, those all are packed with vitamin C as well. Those can be really helpful. Any questions on the nutrition piece? Yes?
How much protein per pound?
If you were active, like you come to, say, for example, you come to StrongerLife 3 days a week, you need 1 gram of protein per healthy pound of weight. So if your ideal weight is 150 pounds, you need 150 grams of protein. If you get less than that, you're asking your body to break itself down with exercise. We also have a nutrition program because figuring that out can be difficult. Some people in here have also done that program, and it's eye-opening, but it's doable. It is doable. But you got to be creative. Supplemental shakes, things like that can be really helpful. But that's the number, 1 gram per pound of healthy body weight. And if you're extra active, you actually could do more. The reality is protein absorption decreases as we age. It doesn't increase. So over time, you need more, not less, which is a challenge, but is doable. Yes?
So how much protein will your body absorb when you at one sitting?
Yeah.
There is
Oh, I love this question.
42 grams of protein.
Yes.
But am I going to absorb all 42 grams of that protein?
Good news. There was a really high quality study that came out looking at protein absorption. I'll try to make this quick. But it looked at people that worked out first thing in the morning that hadn't exercised yet. And they had people that took 25 grams of protein, 50 grams of protein, and 100 grams of whey-based protein after their workout. They did blood work before. They did blood work many hours after exercise and consumption. The group that consumed 100 grams of protein had superior protein absorption. Now, that is one study that has not been repeated, but it is a very high-quality systematic review. So your boy here consumes 100 to 90 grams every morning in a protein shake to kick that off, because I'm shooting for 220 to 250 a day. And it's doable. And I'm the strongest I've ever been in my life. Never done that before, but it works. It works. Great question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Yes.
Well, the doctor and I, who told me I had osteoporosis, I lost 30 pounds recently, and she says, now I can assure you that a lot of that is bone, you lost bone. But if you try to gain back, you're not going to gain back bone, you're gaining back fat. You can't gain bone back, evidently, is that right?
No, it's not. That's what the research has shown, our members have shown. These are gains in 8 months. So I'm going to politely disagree. The research is out there for men and for women, and we have a body of evidence of people in here who have done it. So it can change in less than a year.
You may have answered this, but should you have protein before you work out and after you work out, or both, or just after to replenish the muscle?
It's going to be best after. The studies are conflicting on the time frame. Some people are like, oh my gosh, rush to the protein shake 45 minutes. Some more recent studies have said 90 minutes to 2 hours after is still helpful. And the biggest thing is just get it in. Getting it in is the most important thing. If you're already getting it in, then start worrying about timing a little more. But great question. Other questions? Yes?
You said 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight.
Yes.
So if you're pretty overweight,
Yes.
you're still doing it for what your ideal
Correct.
body weight should be.
Yeah, if your ideal body weight was 175 and you're at 200, 175 grams is what you're shooting for. Thanks for clarifying. Other questions? Yes?
Tell us how you get that many grams of protein in a shake.
I just keep scooping. 6 scoops. 6 scoops, some water, shake it up. I put some creatine in there too, which is naturally occurring in meat and has been helpful for brain and muscle growth for younger adults and older adults. I put that in there too. That thing's thick. It's not for everybody. It is not for everybody. That thing is chunky. No, we're talking about protein shakes. How do you get that much in? I just keep going. I get 6 scoops of the whey protein, shake that bad boy up.
But you're not drinking a 200-some gram protein shake.
No, it's 100 grams.
Right, so you load it up, but you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, in the servings that I've got, that gives you 100 grams.
You can also snack.
Yes. Oh, please, let's snack. Yeah. Yeah. And just, yeah. Space it out, but you've got to prioritize your protein. Back here with Carolyn, then we'll come back over.
How much creatine should you take a day?
Creatine, in general, 5 grams.
5 grams, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between getting natural protein, say in meats, etc.,
Yeah.
versus protein shakes?
Yeah, always better to get natural when you can, but it's challenging. You're gonna sit around and feel like you're eating yogurt and meat all day. So for me, I sacrifice that. I know it's not the best, but I'll do one big shake a day to make sure I get it in. But snacks are very beneficial. Was there another question? Very good. Great nutrition questions. If you need help, we have a nutrition program. But you can also work that out on your own. So the third piece in the recipe, we already covered it. The reality is it's not sexy. Exercise and diet. Sorry, that's a reality. That's what the research says. But it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be lame. It doesn't have to be repetitive. So what we do, our recipe here, minimum, 2 times a week, minimum. 3 to 4 times a week is much better. But 2 times a week, based on the studies we've seen, are a minimum. You need to be thinking about years, not months. Years of consistency. Where am I going to enjoy exercising for years? Months isn't going to do it. You're not going to reach your goals if you're trying to change your bone density. You need variable programming for a couple reasons. 1, it's boring if you do the same thing over and over again. And the reality is we may get benefits to our legs and arms, but we may do it 30 different ways because it's interesting. It also reduces your risk of injury. You come in and do the same thing over and over and over again, that's a great recipe for an overuse injury. That's another reason we vary our program. So our brain doesn't get bored and so that we help protect our joints and our muscles. We also have lots of options. Who feels exactly the same every day? I just feel exactly the same. I'm just as chipper, just as recovered. Nobody feels the same every day. Everybody needs something different from day in and day out. When you feel like crap, someone that's come into a Stronger Life class and felt like crap, did you have options to do your workout?
Yeah.
Did you regret coming?
No.
We will support you. We all have bad days. It's fine. Sometimes, heaven forbid, we get injuries too. Well, we need to work around those too. Because if we baby one joint and let the rest of everything go to pot, we've also not done ourselves any favors. We are designed to work around injuries and give you what you need each day. All you have to do is ask. We give you a few different options, and then your coaches are trained by us, doctors of physical therapy, who also go teach other physical and occupational therapists how to work around pain, to keep people moving, to change their lives. And that's what we're all about in here. Community and accountability. We put a lot of effort into the workouts, but if these people that have been coming for a while told the truth, they'd tell you the community's better than the programming. The people I get to work out with are supportive. It's not a competition. If you want to go compete somewhere else. You can compete with yourself. We cheer each other on because we all have bad days. We all go through a lot of challenging things over time, and it's good to have a supportive environment. I can tell you I quit exercising, gained a bunch of weight, got in the worst shape of my life because I was trying to do it on my own. When I got back into group-based fitness, made some friends, I've had no trouble since. So I'm especially passionate about group-based fitness. It has changed my life. I've seen it change lots of people's lives in here. The last piece, it's fun. We have fun in here. We laugh. People dance. People laugh at even my bad jokes. And when silly stuff happens, it's great. We have a good time because we know if it's boring and routine, no one's going to want to do it. That'd be a really lame business, and it probably wouldn't last very long. This is just a little example of what it looks like getting ready for class. They're breaking down the door. They're waiting for the coach to let people in. I've never seen a group class where people stampede in because they're excited to work out. Guys, this is different. This isn't normal, and we love it. And if that looks like something you'd be interested in, we would love for you to join us and try a free class. We've got some options. So one, we've got group-based fitness classes. We're going to work on strength, getting up and down out of the floor, how to fall without getting hurt, how to get strong, how to get your heart in shape, and improve your bone mineral density. That stuff happens each class in here. So if group-based fitness sounds like a good plan for you, we'd love to have you come try a free class for free, no risk. Just come in, try it. You hate it? You got a free class, and we'll be really nice to you, okay? There's no risk. You have everything to gain, and you have nothing to lose. The other thing we've done is we've built a special program for people who are like, nah, that group-based fitness stuff, I don't want that. I don't want to be in a group. I don't want to trip over the threshold coming in here. I don't like this place. I want to do it on my own, back here. One-on-one, I want someone to watch me the whole time. Great. We have that too. And we've actually made a special program based on the research. So your coach can guide you based on where your bone mineral density is low, specific to you, guided by the research, with our help. You can do that. We can build these programs. We have these programs built and ready to go. So if you want to sign up for the Stronger Bones personal training, awesome. Or you want personal training for something else. But if you're concerned about your bone mineral density, we have a special program for it. We've already been using it. And it's a lot of fun. All right. Y'all have been very patient with me. Started late, had music playing. There were no good jokes tonight either. Sorry. Oh, that's right. We could pull one out any second. Big thing I want to do, first of all, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming in. We love to see people invest in their health, change their lives. We are one option to do that. We'd love to have you come try a class, join training if you would like to. So let me say that first. Also, there's a sign up. If you're interested in a free class out front, Brandy or Dustin will help you with that. I'm going to stick around if you have specific questions for you that aren't related to the group. But if you've got questions that may benefit other people in the group, I would love to answer those now. Yes?
I had someone tell me that autoplasty, you need autoplasty for your bones. You need to get rid of the old bones, break those down to get new ones. That's called autoplasty.
Not quite. So there are two different types of bone cells. They're osteoblast and osteoclast. An osteoclast breaks down the bone. Osteoblasts are the ones that lay down new bone. So you don't have to break down bone to make more. Those are just two different cell types that have two different jobs, because your bones are always remodeling themselves. Even after you break a bone and you get a big bony callus, or it's like kind of has a big bump in it, over time those osteoclasts will shave that down. If you live long enough, it'll look like normal eventually. It's kind of interesting. So not quite. Is that helpful? There's another question back here.
So how are you monitoring the bone density?
We don't monitor it here. You'll have to do that at the doctor's office. DEXA scan. The research here is based on DEXA scans. Our members have brought DEXA scans to us, but we can't directly measure it. Good question.
Vitamin D and calcium supplements.
Yeah, if you can't get it from natural food. Whole natural food is always the best. But if you're not getting it in, next best is to take a supplement.
Is there a certain amount or is there
Of
vitamin D and calcium? Is there an amount that you should have?
yes. I don't off the top of my head. But if you're willing to stick around, I'll be happy to look it up for you.
Can you take too much of supplements, vitamin D, or do you just?
So I need to look them up because there's two types of vitamins. There's a fat soluble and then there's a water soluble. I know that vitamin C is water soluble and you just pee it out. Not a big deal. But the fat soluble ones could be trouble if you have too much of them. But I'll need to look those up specifically. I don't want to just guess. Yes?
I had one doctor say that the DEXA scan or the scale is based on a normal 45-year-old. Is that true?
I don't know. Based on a 30-year-old?
That's way off.
Well, now hang on a second. First of all, yes, I hear you. It sounds a little off that it could be based on a 30-year-old, but if the old science was that we thought that you could have no more deposits after 30, then you're capturing a normal of the peak bone density. So from that standpoint, I could see how that would happen. Based on the old literature, yes. But I can't speak to anything currently to see if that has changed. Yeah, I love it.
Would you like a testimony?
Sure. What would you share with us, Kathy?
I have osteopenia in my back and my left hip, and in 6 months of coming here and taking a bone pill also and prayer, 20% improvement.
Wow. That's awesome. I promise I did not pay her or know that was going to happen. Completely and she helped me with chairs too, which was really nice. So we should give Kathy a round of applause for that too. Great. Team, if you have other questions, you can ask me, you can ask Dustin, specifically the science-based ones. You can ask Brandy. She also doubles as a coach too. But thank you so much for coming. I hope you got something helpful from tonight. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, guys.